Hello everyone, Ashley here. Welcome to Ashley Talks Movies, and welcome to my review of The Banshees of Inisherin. Directed by Martin McDonagh, the film follows a man named Pádraic who finds out his best friend Colin has suddenly decided that he doesn't want to be friends with him anymore. Now, before I get into the review, a few things. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Also hit that notification button so you don't miss any of the videos I'm posting. Okay, time for the review. Banshees of Inisherin is working off of a simple, seemingly absurd premise. What happens when lifelong friends are suddenly at odds with one another because one of them has decided to abruptly end the friendship? No warning, no reason, just, I don't want to be friends anymore. And so that's kind of what the gist of this movie is on the surface. And so over the course of the film, things start to escalate between Pádraic, played by Colin Farrell, as he desperately tries to get Colm, played by Gleeson, to be friends with him again. Meanwhile, Colm resorts to very extreme measures to get Pádraic to leave him alone. Now, the premise can seem kind of silly, but it actually works in The Banshees of Inisherin for a number of reasons, one of which is the setting. The film is set on this fictional island of Inisherin. It's a remote, isolated island off the Irish coast. And so it's a place with very few people, very few things to do. Who you would likely be friends with, your pool is very limited, right? And so, you have a character like Colin who has become very reflective in that, he's looking at his life and what he's achieved, and he feels like, he hasn't achieved much, and he wants to spend the rest of his time doing something worthwhile. And that doesn't include having, in his words, dull conversation with Pádraic. And so this film is able, through the setting, to explore these different themes of isolation, of grief, of melancholy, depression, because of where these characters are located and how they live their lives. And on another level, this premise works because the film is set during the real Irish Civil War. So there's a lot of parallels there with the story between Colin and Pádraic, who, two friends who, been lifelong friends, and suddenly they're at odds with one another, and they're fighting amongst themselves, and how their fight ripples through this town. And then you have the Irish Civil War conflict that is happening in the background. Now, the performances are fantastic across the board. Everyone does an amazing job. Colin Farrell, again, plays Pádraic, and this is a guy who just lives a simple life, and he goes down to the pub every day to have a drink with his friend Colin, and then suddenly that whole pattern is disrupted because Colin has decided that he doesn't want to be friends anymore. And so you see Pádraic kind of deal with this desperation of no longer having a friend, no longer having anyone to talk to about, simple mundane things, and how that broken relationship affects him. And Colin Farrell does such an amazing job with this character, portraying this guy who's very wounded by the decision made by his friend Colin. And then Gleeson is also fantastic as Colin. This guy who is just, at a point in his life where he wants something different and has made this really abrupt decision. And Brendan Gleeson is amazing. I also want to mention Kerry, Condon, who plays Pádraic's sister Siobhan. She is great. She's the smart sister who offers advice to Pádraic. And what's interesting about her character is that she tries to reason with Pádraic as things start to escalate and as he's dealing with the loss of his friend. But then she also understands where Colin is coming from to a point, and you see that evolution with her character as well. And she does an amazing, amazing job. This film was a roller coaster of emotions for me because, this film, the story itself is exploring all these different themes, as I mentioned, about, sadness and grief and life and death and loss and all these things. But it does that with a lot of humor. And especially the first half of this movie, is extremely funny, like laugh out loud funny, very witty, very sharp comedy humor infused in this film and this story. But as the film plays on, um, it gets it gets darker and sadder, and there are moments where instead of laughing, I was gasping. And I think it's so brilliant that this film explores these ideas in that way. The Banshees of Inisherin is a wonderful film, and it's easily one of the best films I've seen this year. As I said, it has a lot of humor, great performances, but it also addresses these sort of darker topics, um, more emotional topics, and does so in a very poignant way. So that's my review of The Banshees of Inisherin. If you've had a chance to watch the film and you want to share your thoughts, you can do so in the comment section below. While you're here, like this video, hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this.